Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another broadcast live session at Itwala Leadership Conversation. I want to welcome all of you, our friends, our associates, family, all our network all around the world. We want to welcome you, as many who will be joining even yet again on this broadcast, even right now live, or you'll be watching later. We welcome you, especially to another session on Itwala leadership conversation. It's been a while, and I know you've been actually, viewing some of all the broadcasts that's there. I've seen all the comments, I've seen all the questions, and we've been doing a whole lot of work in some of our travels. Actually, we've been in Africa, and we've been in touch with leadership at all different kind of levels. In the last, I think 10 days or so, and it's been fantastic. And part of it is what we're going to also be bringing into even our discussion or insight tonight. Tonight is going to be more of a presentation, and we're going to be taking on board as well your comments and your thoughts as well. Please do so. And as for those who are joining for the first time as well, I want to welcome you, and I want to invite you to please also subscribe to the channel. Press the notification bell so that you get alerts from us, especially anytime we're live like this, or we're doing even a repeat broadcast as well. But it's always a great honor to serve you, to come into your space at this time, same channel, every Monday evening, UK, 9 p.m. UK time. Tonight, we're continuing with our series on raising a new generation. A new generation has been our focus. And it's our focus because it is so important that leadership needs to prepare for a new generation. Leadership needs to be intentional about preparing for a new generation consistently. And that is why I think also it's very important for as many who will be joining again tonight, or those who will be watching this broadcast at another time. Please bring all your young ones, or your replacements. Let me put it about your replacements, your sons, your daughters, your staff, your team, and get together to be part of this broadcast as well, because I think it's part of that thing that we're talking about, and we are just one little part of those people who are contributing to this space of leadership, because it's required in our world. Why do we say that? We did a series sometimes and said leadership determines everything. It determines the state of our world, the state of our community, the state of our family, the state of our organization. It determines our own life. What are you being led with? So we got to be part of this. Everyone. So what we share is practical, that we all must be part of a new generation. We need to raise a new generation. And part of the things we're sharing, just the past week, I was in touch with different level of leadership, and we're discussing critical issues on leadership, especially while we were in the country of Nigeria, where there was leadership transition, and there was intense discussion on leadership issues, because that is one nation that has suffered a whole lot with either bad leadership, lack of leadership, or confused leadership. Different things has happened there, and we're just trying to make sure that we get it right, or we start to begin to go in the right direction. So there was a lot of discussion that we have been invited to, and we had the opportunity of being part of that discussion as well. And one of the things we began to share is that we need to understand that leadership needs to come with courage. Leadership needs to be courageous in order to even be able to prepare a new generation. And I said why a lot of leadership, are not preparing for the next generation. It's an evidence of the timidity, of the fear that is in there. When leadership is timid, when leadership is fearful, when leadership has no confidence in itself, there's a whole lot of things that's going to go wrong, and it's going to cause a ripple effect. When leadership does not have an assurance and a confidence in itself, then it will also stifle, succession program as well. So timid leaders don't prepare for their replacement because they're too timid to do that. They're too fearful to face the fact that they will have to leave that position one day. They're too fearful to admit the fact that they will not be there forever. So they will continue to manipulate. And that is one thing that everybody's got to have at the back of their mind. That, look, no matter how long you live, you will be replaced eventually. So why not just prepare? Why not prepare so that we can preserve your leadership legacy? And that is why it takes courage. courageous leadership to prepare a new generation. So this particular broadcast is really to challenge us, to let us begin to see a different perspective of leadership. Your leadership will not continue forever. However, for your leadership legacy to last and to be a benefit to others, then prepare others. Our world is in need of bold leaders who will take the responsibility to prepare young people who will be able to stand on their own. You know, we sometimes leaders we just want people to keep on depending on us. Our children cannot continue to depend on us. Our young people, our youth cannot continue to depend on us. So we need true leadership who will prepare them to stand on their own. And that was part of the discussion that we're having with a leadership in a country right now where there's been a transition. What are you going to do in the next 4 years? What do we expect in the 4 years? Don't let us talk about 4 years in 4 years' time. Let us talk about what we expect to see before 4 years. That at the end of 4 years, we already have a prepared team that we can hand over to who are younger and not the same old recycled leaders. And this is my charge to everyone today. To as many people who is going to watch this broadcast as well, I want to challenge you. Are you courageous? Are you brave enough to begin to prepare your replacements? It takes courage to want to give up power. Can I say that again? It takes courage to want to give up power. Most people don't give up power because they do not know the purpose of power. So what we do is that we stay with power, we hold on to power until it becomes detrimental. And we've seen the evidence of this over the years in different generations, in different governments, in different situations, organizations, and things like that. And that is why till today, I will always say, just like my mentor, Dr. Miles Monroe, our founder, always says, we celebrate Nelson Mandela forever. Why? Because he was a great leader. One of the things that makes him a great leader is because it was a man that gave up power. It was a man that was willing to give. They didn't have to drag the power out of it. He would have had every reason to say, I need to hold on to this power. Look, I suffered 27 years in prison to get this. But after 27 years, all he could do is, let me hand this over to some other people that can run with this. It takes courage to train your replacement. And this is one thing that we got to be very intentional about. Our leaders need to understand that you need to train your replacement. You need to prepare your replacement the moment you assume any form of leadership position, title, or vision. Begin to train others that will understand exactly what you do, that they will even be able to do it better. And that is why I will continue to reiterate it. Only courageous leaders dare to make themselves unnecessary. I remember sometimes ago, many years back, and I heard my mentor say this, I began to make myself unnecessary, and it taught me a little to do so. So I came back to our organization one day. I said, I'm now beginning to, and that was about, I think, I can't remember what year it was now. And I told the people that I need to begin to make myself unnecessary to you, because I knew already that there was another level of leadership that God, was taking me to. There were other things I needed to go, other places I needed to go, other horizons, other places I needed to reach out with the work we're doing as well. Not that I was abandoning that work, but there were going to be enough people to be able to do that without actually missing me. Because look, whatever I can do, I believe all these other people that have been working around me should be able to do it as well. So leaving them, moving away from them, got them working, actively. And that is why, I can remember this. I will never forget this. Say, in the good book, that it's expedient for me, that I go. It is very good to you that I go. It's courage that makes you hand over your job to another. It's working yourself out of a job. When you're confident about your delivery on who you are, then you're able to hand your job over to another. And this is the kind of confidence that we need to have in leadership. It takes courage to empower the person or the people who will make sure that you don't stay. Now, if you don't want to stay in the same place and become extinct and begin to, smell, then you got to be on the move. and you got to prepare those who will not make you stay. When you prepare those who won't make you stay, you will find out that there's going to be a momentum in your life and your leadership as well. That is why a lot of people are so stuck in one thing. They don't want to leave the same place. They've been doing the same old thing forever. Now, that is not leadership, because leadership is always looking for change. Leadership is always doing something new. When you understand the dynamics of leadership gets bored doing the same thing. They're always doing a new thing. And that's why you need to have the courage to prepare the people, the person who will make sure that you don't stay in the same place. Can I challenge someone that, look, you don't want to stay in the same place, train someone that can do exactly what you can do or do it better, and you get moving. You always move forward. Most leaders don't want to leave their position. They don't want to leave their seat. They're stuck in that place. That is why you find people at age 18 still doing the same thing, still running the same rat race. They've been running forever because they do not understand the concept of leadership. They protect their titles. Have you seen leaders? I've met people that look, who were friends, associates, and and sometimes you just exchange pleasantries, and they literally correct you. And I've seen people that share this with me as well. They literally correct you and tell you, please, it's Bishop. So you call them, David, how you doing? They tell, oh no, sorry, it's Bishop David. or you call them, Steve, how you doing? It's Pastor Steve. And I'm thinking, seriously? They protect their titles, they protect their seats, they protect their office, they protect their positions. That is the kind of leadership where true leaders seeks to replace themselves. They don't protect nothing. This is the attitude I'm telling you that true leaders must have. So it's expedient that I go. And I think that's the philosophy that leadership must promote. It's good for you that I go. We need leaders that would make us understand that living is good for the next generation. Living is good for the next generation. Can I say to that all our political leaders, all our religious leaders, all our organization, institution leaders can hear it, family leaders, it is good that you go because it indicates maturity. Immature leaders hang on or hold on to position. Either you hold on to it or not, they will take it from you. But well, if you let it go, you know what? They bring it back to you. It indicates maturity. It indicates your confidence. How confident are we is our leadership? Most leaders are manipulators. They don't have any value to offer us. A lack of courage. Oh my God, my brother said a lack of courage to train the next generation is often a manifestation of a lack of vision. Thank you so much. Now, listen to that. And that's one of our crew, Ambassador Yemi. A lack of courage to train the next generation is often a manifestation of a lack of vision. And you really caught my spirit. You went really ahead of me because I'm coming to that as well. It's awareness of your own value. It's awareness of your own value. When you're aware of your value, the value that you bring to your world, to your space, then you're not intimidated in raising others. It's a sign of greatness when you let power go. It's a great sign. It's a sign of greatness. Let me give you wisdom. I'll never forget this word. And I told my mentor was sharing with us many years back, and I will never forget this. And I had to point this out myself that if your value, listen to this, if your value comes from being a pastor, a bishop, a doctor, or a mayor, or the director, or the senior administrator, or I ran into one before, a sole administrator, they had better not lose that job. If your value comes from being a governor, that is why people, they will run from being a governor, run to being a senator, run back to try and be a governor again, run back to be a senator again, run back. And you're thinking, what is wrong with you? Because their value is tied or is in their position, is in their title or in their paycheck. Then wherever you go, you better tie that position to you. But you see, if you make sure that your value is not in any of those things, not in your title, not in your position, not in your seat, not in whatever you do, not in your paycheck, then wherever you go in life, your value just goes with you. You go with your value everywhere you go. And that is why we must not become so synonymous with our titles. True leaders seek to replace themselves. They give up power, and it shows the kind of value that they bring into the world. This is the kind of attitude that we want to generate, the world, and especially in the new generation that is coming behind us as well. True leaders must have this kind of attitude. It is expedient that I go. That is the philosophy we must promote amongst our young, amongst our new generation. However, this is not the case. Always be willing to relinquish power. It's a sign of greatness. Always, always, always be willing to relinquish power. Great leaders must always empower leaders to produce more leaders. Empower others, empower those around you, empower those working with you, empower those that you have influence over. Empower them, not to subject them, but empower them to rise up just alongside you. Most leaders only thrive in maintaining followers, and this is one of the things that that the political space do not really understand, and that is why we got to really understand the concept of democracy, because it is a concept that if you do not properly manage it, that's why we always say this, that a politician is not by default a leader. Now, a politician might use that route to get into the political system. However, you need to function as a leader within that context. If you function as a politician within the democratic system, then you will always need followers. You will only thrive by maintaining followership. Hence, all you dream about is the next election. How popular whatever you're going to do is going to be. And that is why for you to be a leader, you don't think about how popular. You have to make some tough decisions, just like one of our presidents has just done, in the nation where there's been a transition. He's made a decision that is not a popular decision, but it's a tough decision that is a leadership decision that has created a whole lot of controversy. But there are different sides to it, if you really listen to some of those things. But most leaders thrive in maintaining followers. Your leadership must not be measured by how many that is following you, but how well are you serving? It is not how many that's following you. Some people, they get into a position of leadership. It's like how many servants, how many people carrying their books, carrying their bags, carrying how many. You see some of our leaders, they go on the street and you see the amount, the entourage that is following them. And I'm thinking, this is expensive. That is why we have expensive governments, expensive offices, expensive titles that cost us a fortune to run. Why is this important? Because leadership begins with vision. Just like, Ambassador Yemi was saying there, leadership begins with vision. So true leaders are always preparing for the future because they can see what lies ahead. They know exactly when their leadership terminates, when they need to go next after this, when they need to give up this and go to the next position. They know the next level, the next step. They're aware of what is ahead. Hence, they begin to prepare the generation to take over from them. And that is why lack of courage to train the next generation is often a manifestation of a lack of vision. True leaders can see the end of the leadership. And that is why, listen to this, the ultimate goal of leadership is not to keep followers, but to produce leaders. The question is, are you? Am I? Are we all producing the next generation? Because the next generation is the responsibility of the present generation. The next generation is the responsibility of the present generation. We got to all be producing leaders. Everyone else, from our families, we got to produce sons and daughters that take responsibility. We got to be intentional about producing leaders. People, listen to me today. It's very, I was having this very, sometimes they call it is it a debate, leadership debate, and people literally were arguing about what leadership should not do, what leadership do, and things like that. And I said, look, number one, leadership has got nothing to do with followers. Yes, people follow great vision, great ideas, and the general convention is leaders keep the general convention. If you notice, check it all around in the government, in the religious space, in our organization, is that leaders generally just keep followers. It's like they need followers. Leaders must not need followers. Followership does not define your leadership. Can I put it that way? I think that's the right way. Followership does not define your leadership. It doesn't matter how many thousands follow you on Instagram, on Facebook. That doesn't define your leadership. So when you begin to investigate, because the concept of followership is a very dangerous one if we use it to define our leadership, and when you look at it very, very closely, the way people look at followership or follower, it simply has this connotation to it. It means you are less than me. It means subordinate. So we subordinate or we subject those who are followers. We treat them less than us. We give them less value. They give them a lesser seat. In fact, I've seen them even give them a lesser kind of service. So we serve you separately. So we give you 2 legs of the turkey, and we give you, because you're a follower, 1 or half a leg. And that's the connotation of what followership means in our world today. It means less significant. So we make them less significant in whatever we do. It's a dangerous concept. As leaders, so leaders has the temptation to easily oppress, abuse, or take advantage of their followers. Why? Because our leadership must not be measured by followership. Our leadership must be measured by the idea that everyone under your influence is a leader, and those people has the capacity to replace you and do exactly what you're doing. Are you getting my point? You know, this is, and really we opening up a whole lot of issues here, because if we really want to get leadership right, we better really open up all the mess that is in it already. Our leadership must be measured by the idea that everyone under your realm of influence, they're not your subordinates, they're not your subjects, they're not there for us to abuse, they're not there for us to subject them, they're not there for us to use them. Rather, we are meant to empower. We're meant to commit to mentoring them to becoming what we are, what we have done, and even better than what we are able to do. So a leader must be dedicated to this, to this very cause, bringing hope to those under your sphere of influence, bringing inspiration, motivating a new generation, bringing passion among those that are around us. That is the assignment of leaders. And that is one thing that the present generation needs to understand in order for us to prepare for the next generation. One of the key the things that came up in our discussion over the last 1 week as we're also preparing, and one of the things, the presentation we had to make was also on what leaders do. Leaders mentor. And somebody asked a question, so what do mentors really do? You know, and I believe somebody has asked that question, and it did resonate with me a whole lot. Somebody has asked that question on this forum as well. I thought, let's talk about that. What is the assignment of mentors? Because most of the time we have leaders say they're mentoring, they're mentoring a group, they have mentees and things like that. What does that really mean? Because you got to understand, number one, that mentorship is a practical relationship that mentors have to offer. And everyone is born a leader. Everyone has the leadership capacity in them. So everyone needs to mentor others as well. So number one thing I was sharing with some of the people that they were in our own group was, number one, you got to understand mentors offer advice. And mentees have to appreciate this as well. Every moment with a mentor, you got to understand is a learning experience. So when we open our lives to others, you got to understand that one, they're observing. One of the primary ways of mentorship is by observation. So, and your life is a learning curve, is an observation to others who are coming behind. So when I take up a position of leadership and I abuse that position, I misuse it, I use it to oppress, I use it to take advantage, you're literally teaching others. But mentors offer advice, and the advice might be right on the spur of the moment. They might see something that you're doing and decide to give you an instruction based on what they've seen. So they give instruction or they give correction of valuable opinion that you never get in any formal institution. And that is why mentorship is totally different from you going to school. It's totally different from training. Mentorship is not something that you get in sitting down in the school and things like that. Our leaders Our leadership must be measured continually by who are we mentoring? How are we mentoring? What advice are you giving to the next generation? Are you advising our young people to go into politics? Are you going there advising them on how to handle governance issues, how to handle money, how to handle relationships, how to handle family? Who are we advising? Very, very important. So mentors give quality, quantitative advice. Mentors give resources as well. And when I talk about resources, I'm not just talking about you give money. No, no, that's the way. In fact, I see a whole lot of mentors collect resources from mentees, which is a crazy thing as well. And I don't understand that, but that's another topic entirely. Rather, mentors share their resources. What books are you reading? They expose their mentees or their sphere of influence to those things that help them as well to develop, to make them who they are. Who are you exposing to your market? I remember many years back, I'd been going to the Bahamas, I'd been under the mentorship of Dr. Miles Monroe, and I thought to myself, no, this is not good enough. I have to, I literally got to the place whereby I could not really be listening to Dr. Miles alone. I had to bring a team. So I took a whole team of all our leaders, about 10 of them. I said, we're going to the Bahamas. Almost 80% of them, I had to get my checkbook out and pay for the flight and everything to get there. Now, that was costly, but that was because there was something I was after. Exposing, your mentees to your market, exposing them to the programs, the things that you feed on. What books are you reading? Who are you listening to? Expose them to that kind of quality of content as well. They give mentees the freedom to emerge beyond their own level. Don't cage your mentees. Don't cage your replacement. Don't cage the generation behind you. Give them, empower them that they're able to soar higher and watch them. Put them on the driving seat, and let them drive. Let them try. The other day, my daughter is about to start driving, and she just wants to. I said, okay, just drive, but I got to sit beside you. I don't want you to drive too early. You still got to pass your driving test, but I'll sit beside you and you drive. And the other day, our mom was saying the same thing as well, and she was driving, and we sit beside her, and now she's moving around, maneuvering. You got to give them the freedom. And that's the kind of freedom. We need young people in the House of Representatives, in the Senate. We need young people in the Parliament. We have young people that go into Parliament and just watch what they do as well. We need in the developing nation the same thing. Mentors are role models for leadership function. How do we function in the role of leadership? Who can see how we make decisions? Somebody asked me sometimes ago, JD, where did you learn to speak to me? I said, Dr. Miles took me around. I didn't read it in a book. I didn't go to any university, but I sat down because I carried this bag into such meetings and I watched him deliberate with leaders, great leaders of nations, heads of states and things like that. And I sat down there because I followed my mentor. It opened me to that. They become role models. It took me, I remember the first time I flew into the Bahamas, and it took me into the board meeting. They were having the board meeting and he took me there and said, that's JD, and introduced me and he said, sit. And I sat. And they continued the meeting. And I was just watching. I came back home with different ideas for our organization. I began to run our schedules in different ways because I saw a model somewhere else. I began to get our organization to begin to do our administrative work in a totally different way. We began to vision for the whole year. We began to strategize, plan. I saw that because I saw a model from a mentor. Oh my God, our time is up. Our time is up. But what am I saying today? It's very expedient. It's very important that we prepare the next generation, and we got to be intentional, either from our families, in our businesses, in our institutions, in our governments, in our nations, in our communities. There's a need for us to prepare the next generation, or else the next generation will be a total disaster and our world will be a disaster. This is what we do in Ituala. And please, listen to what Ituala does. Ituala is that space whereby we train the trainers. We are in the leadership space to raise leaders. And that is why we keep on letting you know this is exactly what we do. Please listen to this clip. I look forward to seeing you next week when we come back.
Hi, my name is Miles Monroe Jr., and I'm the chairman of the board for the International Third World Leaders Association. Our organization was birthed to respond to and address the critical need for quality, effective leadership development and training in the emerging developing nations.
Our vision is to establish a global network of leaders from every discipline,
committed to the highest